So this New Age theory of Christ consciousness and humans evolving or ascending into God through the process of evolution or a spiritual awakening has become part of the UN's agenda, and thus the New World Order. As you may be aware, the secret society called the Illuminati also believe in the evolution into godhood through a process of illumination, hence where they got their name. These ideas will bring about the destruction of Islam and the Christian faith and Jesus Christ, because as you will see, both these religions could jeopardize peace, which is what the UN is all about sustaining that peace, even though the Bible preaches love thy neighbour and thou shalt not kill. In the UN they actually built a prayer room, and in this prayer room is, and I quote from one of the main people who created this prayer room, is dedicated to the God who man worships under many names or in many forms. This room is full of occult symbolism, and at the head of the room, what do they have? They have an all-seeing eye, or the eye of Horus, and some call it the eye of Lucifer. So we can see the Babylon and Egyptian mystery symbols in the UN's prayer room, and how they adopt those mystery religions into their philosophies and agendas. Now I'll talk about another influential person involved in the New Age, a woman called Alice Bailey. Alice Bailey was involved and influenced by the writings of Helena Blavatsky, who was the founder of the Theosophical Society. Alice Bailey was born in 1880, and in 1919 she channeled a Tibetan master called Dwal Khul, and channeled information that she managed to obviously channel. This information were actually fed into her books, and she's written numerous books. Here are some of the quotes from some of those books. Now bearing in mind this is channeled information, this isn't just anything based on a theory. One of these quotes is, "The New World Order must lay the foundation for a future world order which will be possible only after a time of recovery and reconstruction and of rebuilding." Another quote of hers is, "We are concerned with only one subject, the ushering in of the New World Order. The present world order, which is today largely disorder, can be so modified and changed that a new world and a new race of men gradually comes into being. And the use of the sacrificial will should be the keynote for the interim period after World War II, prior to the inauguration of the New Age." So, to go on to say, her and her husband, Foster Bailey, who was a 32nd degree Freemason, went on to set up the Lucifer Publishing Company, another interesting name, which she soon renamed to Lucis Trust. And she formed the what's called the World Goodwill Organisation, both of which were spreading the esoteric teachings of psychic healing, channeling, astrology, mediums, etc. into the mainstream public, and also the ideas were being brought into the United Nations through the guy I talked about earlier, Robert Mueller. Alice Bailey stated that the purpose of World Goodwill is to help prepare the world for the reappearance of Christ. Now obviously her teachings and channeling were nothing to do with the Bible nor the Quran. She's not talking about the coming of Jesus Christ. So what Christ is she talking about? So is she talking about the universal Christ that Teilhard de Chardin was talking about? Lizzie might have a few things to say about this later. Now another player in the New Age movement is a man called Sir James Lovelock. Surprisingly, James Lovelock was an inventor and a scientist. He revived the old ancient Greek religion of Gaia worship. This Greek religion believed in Mother Earth, that the Earth was a goddess and that the Earth had a consciousness. However, he brought it into modern day scientific terms by explaining that the chemical and natural processes in and around the world and the Earth has created a biological entity as though it is alive. Now he adamantly believes in man-made global warming, despite all of the real scientific evidence proving that there isn't man-made global warming and CO2 isn't causing global warming or having an impact on global warming. And he also believes in the overpopulation myths. He also talks about that along with man's consumption of the Earth's resources, that the Earth will bring about mass depopulation of the human species unless we change our ways. He brought out a book called The Revenge of Gaia, and he talks about the Earth, and I quote, "The Earth is about to catch a fever that may last as long as 100,000 years, and to quote, I see the crunch coming as an opportunity to improve ourselves in a way. Who knows, a man may have a better chance when he starts again." He goes on to say only about 1 billion humans will survive. What does he mean by starting again? By the end of this century, there is a high probability that the bulk of our species on the planet will be eliminated. So that's what he means by the revenge of Gaia, as though the Earth will wreak some kind of revenge on man. In 1985, the first public symposium on the Gaia hypothesis, and the symposium title was "Is the Earth a Living Organism?" So you can see how he has merged religion and science with an ancient Greek goddess worship religion, and if we don't nurture the Earth and change our ways, humankind will need to be or will be exterminated or eliminated. Now this doctrine has fed into modern day ideas like transition towns and the transition movement as it's known, and also into human rights, which we'll cover after the break. He actually brought out a paper called "Human Rights Are Not Enough," and after the break I'll quote some of those quotes from that document, and you'll soon realise the impact that will have on human rights, and even going on from human rights as, you know, earthly rights, if you like. Right, now I'm going to hand over to Lizzie, who's going to talk more about this subject.
So Rob talked about some of the Illuminati or elite ideas and how they've fed into some of the other projects that we see around us. So what actually is that belief? And the key thing is, how can we avoid being sucked into it? Because it becomes clear that one of the main aims of this New World Order is to bring as many people, or indeed the whole world, into their belief system. So what actually is it? Theosophists, and Alice Bailey, who Rob mentioned, was a member of the Theosophical Society. They believe that Lucifer is Satan, and they believe that Satan is God. And Theosophy and Freemasonry are interchangeable, and at some point in time become the same. The elite, the United Nations, the promulgators of this New World Order, that is exactly what they believe. Now, Lucifer and Satan were originally worshipped as the sun. They believe that the sun is represented by the planet Venus. Now, Venus is depicted commonly as a female deity, The Venus imagery we see coming quite a lot into the New Age movement, into a lot of spiritual sites, spiritual bookshops, and Venus is often represented as being light, as love, as compassion, as care, and all of these things are good. And there is nothing evil about the planet Venus itself. But what the Theosophists and what the elite do is that they'll take certain things as symbology for themselves to encourage people to buy into their ideals. Now, so they believe that Venus is the morning star. It is what you see before the sun rises in the morning. And they believe that Lucifer or Satan is the sun, is the light, is the morning star. And Venus is their female representation of that. Now, they're waiting for their new age with the new Messiah. They believe the old age of Christianity, Islam, the monotheistic religions has had its day, and that we now need to come into the new world that Rob has spoken about. Now, Theosophy is quoted by Alice Bailey and the founder of Theosophy, Madame Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, as being a universal brotherhood of humanity. And one quote from this woman from her book, The Secret Doctrine, page 539. She says that Lucifer is divine and terrestrial light, the Holy Ghost and Satan at one and the same time. So bearing in mind that they believe this, and that Freemasonry magazine is called the New Age magazine, and that the Theosophy magazine is called Lucifer magazine, we can get an idea of what their theology is. And there's a lot of literature being targeted towards the New Age movement, towards the Truth movement, towards spiritualists, people who are trying to find the truth, find themselves, find something good, to say that Venus or Lucifer are light beings, that they're coming to help liberate humanity from the trap it's been in. What we have to remember is that to Theosophists, light is dark and dark is light. So what they say is good isn't necessarily good. Now, there are various movements being promoted at the moment to bring us to a resolution for the New World Order. So people start exploring, they wake up and they realise that there's a conspiracy to bring us into global governments, and they start looking for ways to counteract that, which is certainly a journey that I went on and a journey that lots of us go on. We realise how wrong things are, and we start to look for solutions, or look for other people who are looking for solutions. Now the orchestrators of the New World Order, who are the Theosophists, who are the United Nations, they know this. They know that people are going to be realising that things are wrong and looking for answers. And they do have traps for people to fall into. They do have belief systems planned out, because their ultimate aim is to stop us finding any real truths. So once we start delving into the truths, then they redouble their efforts to deceive us. There's no way they go, oh well, the people who've looked into the New World Order conspiracy, we're going to leave them alone because they've got us rumbled. They do the opposite. They go in full speed to try and deceive people even further.